Welcome to the first podcast of Wake Up Brosef Stalin. This is Ryan, and my friend coming to me all the way from Taiwan is Aaron. We're really happy you guys chose to join us and listen to some of our thoughts and some conversations about random stuff, just life in America, life in Taiwan, the differences, and all the fun stuff that happens. So let's get rolling. What we want to do with this podcast is provide a glimpse into the fun stuff that happens in our lives, talk about stuff we find convicting politically, in sports, in life, religion, everything, and all the above. I think that Aaron and I have known each other long enough that we have a lot of stories we can tell that would be pretty entertaining to most of you. So, me personally, I'm from Cincinnati, Ohio. I grew up here, decided to go to college in a little town in Virginia called Lynchburg at Liberty University. That's where I met Aaron my freshman year. Aaron was a transfer student from another college he'll talk about in a second. But we met, had a great time. I split up with him second year of college, and then we moved back into a similar townhouse nearby in my senior year, I believe. Lived together with a couple other guys for a couple more years and had a lot of fun. After Liberty, I worked in Lynchburg for a little while, worked in the Central Virginia area, moved back to Cincinnati after I met my wife, and live here now, working in finance, trying to get back to Virginia at some point. We'll see. My background, politically speaking, I'm pretty conservative. You'll pick that up from hearing my ideas. As far as sports go, definitely everything Cincinnati. I'm a UC Bearcats fan. I'm a Cincinnati Bengals fan, Cincinnati Reds fan in baseball. Probably Reds are definitely my favorite sports team, if I had to pick one sport and one team. Which, speaking of which, opening day is coming up pretty soon, which, if anyone's familiar with Cincinnati, you know that's pretty much a national holiday for us. Schools pretty much close. People take off work. It's a huge event. And I believe my wife actually got us tickets for the opening night. So that'll be fun. Yeah.
Oh, dude.
Yeah, should be awesome.
I'm jealous. When it started to interrupt your spiel, but when is
I believe it
opening night
is
for the Reds?
Saturday next week. So a week from yesterday.
Okay.
Or maybe that's... I think that's it, yeah. Is there a game tonight?
Like a regular
normally-
season game?
It used to be the Reds always... the Reds always started things off or whatever, but now they have opening night like the day before.
Yeah, I wish they would just keep the tradition alive. I mean, the Reds were the first team that got paid, so let them be just keep
I feel like the Yankees and it's either Yankees or Red Sox always have a game on like opening night, like before opening day when everyone else plays. I don't know. That's okay.
Yeah. I don't know about this year. The Yankees opening game is I get confused with the dates with the time difference. I think it's the 30th, but it's at 3:30 in the afternoon, so it's not a big deal.
Is that opening day for everybody?
Well, it might be.
It's
3:30
That's Friday.
a.m. here, and I'm trying to figure out how to watch it.
That's all right.
Anyways, sorry.
Yeah, that makes sense. Then it would be 3:30 afternoon on Friday then here. It's interesting because normally opening day is on like a Monday or Tuesday, right?
Yeah, that sounds right. I don't know. I guess it depends on their TV contracts and everything. They might want to squeeze in an extra Sunday night.
They're changing a lot of stuff with baseball. I mean, it's changing really fast. You're talking about a sport that hasn't changed, materially for 150 years, and then now it's every single year there's big changes coming to it. I mean,
taking out you can't slide into second base with your.
Yep.
You can't spike or whatever. Or no, break up double plays. Yep. You can't try to break up double
plays. Exactly.
Big part of the game.
Huge tactical parts. That's the thing is that we're not talking about rule changes. Yeah.
Blocking the plate.
Pitch timer? Are you kidding me? I hate it.
Oh yeah, I don't like that at all. It's just gonna. We already had way too many home runs hit last year. It's gonna cause. More problems like that.
You're talking. Right. One of the greatest weapons a pitcher has is his timing. You know, you can throw a batter off by waiting, by quick pitching. Now you're removing that. You know, the batter knows when the ball is going to come.
Yeah. The batter all of a sudden has the upper hand in that regard.
You know, I really don't care about the replays so much. I mean, the problem with them is that I personally like the timing of a baseball game. I don't care how long it takes. I kind of enjoy it. I understand football is a more action sport because, you know, stuff happens every 20 seconds, every 30 seconds. Baseball is a different kind of sport, and I don't see why that's a problem. You know, they're trying to keep up with other sports, and I guess a new generation that wants to see things happen quickly. But what I don't mind is the replays.
Right. I'd rather they get it right because, especially after that perfect game, would be perfect game by that guy in the Tigers. I think that was one of the last bad calls before they.
Yeah, that might have been the straw that broke the camel's back on that one. It's with all the cameras we have now. It's really hard to accept the outcome of a play or a game when you have video evidence that it shouldn't have happened that way. So.
Yeah, just don't do like something similar for strike calls because you still need to have the manager come out and get ejected and throw dirt all over that one.
Eventually, we just won't have umpires, referees. Everything will be video, and it'll just be like a robot out there on the field, and he'll just make the hand signals. Because then the managers won't. Yeah. The managers can't really yell at a robot, right?
That would be great. They might destroy it. It might even be
I want to see.
Just come out with a bat and beat the crap out of it.
That might be a good idea. We might be stumbling onto greatness here.
Just make a bionic umpire that we can take out.
Right. Someone has to control him, make him run around the field, and like getting away from the manager. It'll become a different sport. Oh man.
Oh. At that point, I'll switch over to soccer with you.
I'm not switching over to soccer. A lot of people are accusing me of abandoning football. I'm not really abandoning football so much as I'm abandoning the NFL in its current state. Goodness, man. Listen, I've been a Bengals fan since I was born. I was born the second time the Bengals lost to the 49ers in the Super Bowl. I've been a fan since then. So we have not done anything important since then, since I was born. So I mean, I don't think we've even won a playoff game since I was born, I believe. Maybe not. Yeah, maybe a couple.
Maybe. You want to?
That's true.
The Bills.
Yeah. So we won a playoff game for the Bills. That should count, right? So anyway, I'm not abandoning football because I put my time in for the Bengals, and I'm not leaving because the Bengals are bad. I'm not leaving because football is unenjoyable. I'm leaving because we are propping up a bunch of spoiled brats who are pissed off that we don't accept their political ideology and their on-field activism. That's why I'm not supporting the NFL anymore. I mean, I'll watch college football every Saturday, and as long as no stupid crap is going on then, But
Well, they'll be getting
that's
paid
true.
soon.
Yeah, and maybe that's okay. I mean, I don't know. I really don't care.
Yeah, it's
I think
debatable.
it's
Yeah,
silly that you have these players who are generating millions of dollars for the school, and they're if they trade a pair of cleats, then they can get kicked out of the school. The school can lose scholarships and stuff. Just seems a little silly to me.
yeah. Whatever happens, the system
Right,
needs
right.
reformed.
So I think that's I'll be interested in watching closely that whole progression because I think there's a really slippery slope to abuse if you don't regulate that kind of highly.
Yeah.
So anyway, about soccer, how's does Taiwan? Taiwan has a national team, right? Do they have like a league for soccer?
Uh, honestly, I'm not exactly sure. They, I'm not even sure if they can compete. They might be able to compete in the World Cup, but I don't know if they've
Yeah,
ever qualified. It's just too
yeah.
small a talent pool. And they're better at
Oh, is that
baseball,
kind of the
anyways.
national pastime over there?
Yeah, I would say. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it could be better, but they emphasize education so much that usually parents won't let their
Huh.
kids play, and
Wow.
so. But still, they've generated several
Right.
major league players.
Hmm.
So
Who is one of them? Any big ones? Oh, really?
Ximing Wang was probably the biggest one so far because he was on the Yankees. He won 19
Wow.
games for the Yankees one year. Uh, so he was really good. He was my
Really?
favorite pitcher when I was a kid, just because the novelty of like,
Yeah.
oh, this guy's from Taiwan,
Huh.
and then they ended up
That's
living
pretty
here.
cool. Yeah.
It's
It's
pretty
awesome.
interesting. But they also, I didn't know this. I did a
Mm-hmm.
project with my job recently. Um, uh, Taiwan actually won Little League World Series, like several of them back in
Really?
the 70s.
Hmm.
Yeah. Now it
Oh,
seems
it's
like Japan wins
unbelievable.
all the
It's
time,
like
but
every single year, it's some American team from like the north, from the Northeast against Japan. You know, it's
yeah.
oh my
Japan's so
gosh.
disciplined and focused on fundamentals that they
Every
can't help but
time
win.
they'll show the team like what the American team does. It's all these little white kids like chugging Mountain Dew and playing Xbox in their dorm rooms, and the Japanese kids are all like sitting cross-legged meditating, and I'm just like, this is a frightening this is a frightening contrast.
Yeah. We could learn a lesson or two from them, but also the
Right?
freedom is nice
Yeah. I mean,
compared to people. They put nets around the buildings because everyone's so stressed out working so hard and they want to jump
you know
off the
what?
roof.
That is an interesting observation. I was in DC this past weekend, and my wife and her best friend and I were walking down the street, and I noticed that a lot of buildings in DC have have nets around the top, the top half or the top two-thirds of the buildings. And I was like, what the heck are those for? Because my first thought was, are you trying to keep people from throwing stuff out the window? Like, first of all, do the windows even open on buildings in a taller building, 6, 7, 8 story floor buildings? Um,
Yeah, those
right.
windows should
And
probably
so I was like,
not open.
why are these nets up there? And none of us knew. So I was like, that's interesting. But I've known Japan is kind of synonymous with suicide on a global scale. If there's one country you can identify with suicide, it's probably Japan. Like going back to the samurai days.
Yeah, especially after what it was, Logan Paul,
Yeah.
whichever
Oh
one of
my
the Paul
gosh.
brothers
Yeah.
went over there. That controversy. Those
Oh my
knuckleheads from
gosh. Are they
Ohio.
from Ohio? That is
I'm pretty
shameful.
sure.
I
I'm pretty sure you're
cannot stand.
right. I'm
I cannot
sorry.
stand any of the YouTube generation. Like these people who are making $100,000 a month. All they're doing is posting pranks online. Oh my gosh, it
Yeah,
is
that's getting crazy.
unbelievable.
I do like I do like
What?
H3.
Who is
They're
that?
pretty entertaining.
What do they do?
It's they do a lot of reaction videos to other YouTubers and like making fun of like they'll make fun of those the ones where they put on those really cheapy bodysuit superhero things and do the really weird
Oh, really?
videos. They'll make fun of those. They'll make fun of some of the
Hmm.
prank people. Yeah, they're one of the top
Hmm.
YouTube channels, but they're
I'll have to
pretty
watch that.
entertaining because it's just this guy.
I don't.
Yeah,
I
they're
don't think
good.
I've seen any of those. Sorry.
Props to them.
Huh.
But yeah,
Sounds interesting. I honestly I don't spend as much time on YouTube as I used to. I remember you could go on YouTube and look up how to cut an onion, and then 14 hours later you're watching a video about how giraffes eat or something. Uh, YouTube just I don't know.
oh,
Nowadays,
yeah. It's a
I
black
think
hole.
I think that Facebook has taken over a lot because Facebook just the way their videos work. You watch a video about cooking or a video about travel or something, and then the next video is about video games, and then 140 videos later, you don't even realize what you're doing for the last 3 hours.
Man, it's like, how did they
Exactly.
make
Yeah.
this connection?
So.
But somehow it worked.
Yep. Yep.
This is
Yep.
trippy.
It must be nice. You to have zero creativity and just let people make your content for you, and then just throw some ads in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all right. So you mentioned your business. Do you wanna mention your business for talk about it a little bit?
Oh, sure. So I came to Taiwan because I have a friend. I met someone at the first school I went to in Florida, which was a tiny Bible college. But I was friends with a guy from Taiwan, a Taiwanese guy, and after I went to Liberty, met Ryan. I was working there. Uh, Long story short, I ended up making a bad choice and quitting my job. I was gonna get some more education online while living with my parents, and that lasted about 3 months. I wasn't willing to go into debt, so I started bouncing around the East Coast a little bit. Went to North Carolina, went back to Virginia,
Went on an epic
and
motorcycle journey.
oh yeah, we'll have to discuss that
Definitely.
sometime. I hope it's not all like, left my
Oh man,
memory, but that
I
that
was
was
waiting for
super
the video to
interesting.
come out, and then John, our friend
I
John,
never
was
did.
like, "That dude, he hired a guy off of Craigslist." And correct me if I'm wrong. He hired up a guy off of Craigslist to essentially be the video journalist for this entire thing, and they followed behind you guys on your motorcycle and sidecar up and down the East Coast, and then zero footage was actually produced.
Yeah, well, he's got a lot of footage, and maybe he'll put it out someday, and we'll see. If he does put it out, I'm gonna watch it and be like, oh, maybe no one should see this. We were drinking a lot and swearing a lot. It was interesting, but yeah. Anyways, I was living in Fayetteville, North Carolina, and like I was getting terrible jobs, part-time jobs. The first job I worked was a job where you scan inventory at a store. So it was terrible. You just go scan every single item in the store. And fun story about that I'll share sometime. We were working on a Marine base, Camp Lejeune, I think. On the base, well, there was some downtime between locations that we were scanning. The people I'm working with, they pull out a joint and start smoking weed on the
That's
Marine
bold.
base. I was like, man,
That's a
yeah,
bold move,
very
Cotton.
bold. Some people who just, I don't know. I guess they don't. They're not too afraid of law enforcement or whatever. But where was I going with this? Oh yes, I had terrible jobs. After that, I worked. I was working two jobs. I was working at CarMax, washing, detailing cars, driving them, doing a bunch of stuff there, and then also delivering
I
pizza
remember
for
that. I
Domino's.
remember that period of your life.
So, not exactly my
You told me a
highest
lot of funny
moment.
stories about that.
And I happened to. Oh yeah, Yeah, I'm sure some stories from that time will come up on
It's
this
great though.
podcast.
This is great. All the crap you went
Yeah,
through in the last 6, 7 years, you can just use that. It's entertaining.
yeah, maybe. But I was talking on Facebook to my friend from Taiwan, Thomas, and he suggested I just come to Taiwan and teach English, and I was like, well, okay, why not? I mean, it can't be worse than this, and maybe I'll
Yep.
like teaching. Who knows? So came over here. Didn't really like teaching, so I did that for only a couple years. But we ended up, Thomas and I ended up starting a translation company. So we have a translation
Island
company called
Island
Island
Nation, right?
Nation. Yep, Island Nation Translation.
You guys have a
Uh,
website?
we do have a website. It is islandnation.com.tw.
.com.tw.
Yeah. So you can go there and hit us up. You can hit us up on Facebook. We specialize in video games, actually, mobile games, platformers.
Have you guys
We've
have you guys
done,
done any English to Chinese or English to Mandarin conversions?
yeah, the biggest games we've worked on for that language path are Ruiner and Polybridge. Ruiner, not sure what platform it's on. I didn't actually get to work on it since it's
Right.
English to Chinese. But that one was
Mhm.
pretty successful. It's from a Polish
Nice.
developer. And then Polybridge is a mobile game. It's pretty interesting. You build a bridge, and if you build it wrong, your car is gonna fall. Your car's supposed you're trying to
Yeah.
get the car over
Yeah.
the bridge. If you build it wrong, the car will fall in the
I
ocean.
think I
or
play a
chasm
game
or
like that. I
whatever.
don't remember what it's called. Maybe it's
You might have played it or seen. There's some people found out you can kind of build some really crazy bridges, and it's pretty funny. Some YouTube videos they've made about it. But we translated that one. That one's
nice.
from New Zealand. But yeah, that's what I'm doing right now. Island Nation
And you're
Translation.
enjoying it.
I am enjoying
Always
it
nice to be an entrepreneur, right?
compared to. Well, yeah.
Well,
I guess I can call myself that technically.
that's what it is, man.
I figure. I mean, my Thomas does most of the sales and everything. I try to do a little bit online,
Mhm.
but I'm more of a behind the scenes guy.
Hey.
But I think I can contribute
Sure,
that way
definitely. I mean, you got just from what I've seen you doing for our podcast, the social media, you're awesome at it. I mean, I've been really impressed by the stuff you've obviously learned through Island Nation and what you've been able to do for our podcast is just awesome. Yeah,
too. Oh, I thank
I'm
you.
really pleased.
But yeah, I'm riding your
No,
coattails.
not
here.
really.
I got to ride the coattails all the way to the end.
Not at all. That's not at all the case. All right, so you kind of talked a little bit about your background, and I went too long winded on mine. So we made a Liberty. You want to start before that?
Before that, okay, yeah. I'm from New York originally, not the city. 90 miles from the city, so anything above New York City is upstate New York. So I'm from upstate New York. I was homeschooled all the way through until college. I actually took a year off after I graduated high school. I was afraid to go to college. That's kind of I'm kind of introverted, and I worked a full time job and kind of, I guess, prepared myself mentally to go. Um, but I went to school in Florida for 2 years at that small
Mm-hmm.
Bible college, and then went to Liberty. I wanted to be a journalist. Well, when I went to the first school, I started out as a
Mm-hmm.
music major, and then I switched to uh, like a general studies associate's degree. Then I decided I wanted to be a journalist, so I go to Liberty, start off in journalism. Wish I would have stuck with it because I realized that probably would have been the best path, but I didn't because I thought it would not be creative enough. So I switched to advertising for a
Mm-hmm.
semester, and didn't find that to my liking, so I switched to English for the last year. So I have a very hodgepodge degree of communications in
Seems like
English.
you're using it all though.
Um,
I mean, in what you're doing right now.
it's
Yeah,
so weird. Like I ended
isn't
up
that
using
funny?
it. Yeah, it's so strange, but I guess it's kind of it points to the divine
Right?
plan, I
Yeah,
guess.
exactly. It's you're right.
But yeah,
I want to. You glazed over this, but you have a really funny story about how you found Liberty and how you chose Liberty that you told me years ago. So you tell that in a second, but along the same lines as ending up where you're supposed to be. I mean, in undergrad I did international business, and in my MBA I did finance. Right. Well, I didn't work
mm-hmm.
in finance for all of my education. After I finished undergrad, I worked at Liberty in project management, and after that, I worked in purchasing at a local manufacturing company in Virginia. And then I didn't work in finance until I moved back to Cincinnati. So I had all this education that I just wasn't really using in purchasing or in project management. And then finally moved to Ohio. I actually worked. I took a purchasing job in Ohio. I worked there for 1 day. I came in the next day and I quit because I had accepted an offer for a finance position in another company in Cincinnati. So,
Ooh,
well, that's a story sometime. That
I did not know
yeah,
that.
that's a
Oh
really
man.
fun story that we'll share sometime. But I want you to tell your awesome story about how you found Liberty.
How I found Liberty. I'm not sure if you're confusing me
No, man,
with someone else.
your mom and dad, or
Because,
your dad went to pick you up at Hope Sound, right? And then you were
uh-huh.
coming back up, and you just decided to get off at Lynchburg and check out Liberty, right?
Uh,
Or did you already know about it?
is that how I think I already knew about it. I think I knew about it from. I remembered when I was a kid, or all the way until I
Mm-hmm.
went to college. Since I was homeschooled, sometimes I could get away with turning on the radio
Mm-hmm.
while I did some homework. So I would listen to sports talk radio all
Yeah.
day, like WFAN New York,
Mm-hmm.
Mike and the Mad Dog. But I remember when Liberty, I forget what year it was, they made the NCAA tournament for basketball.
Yeah.
And so I think that actually kind of stuck in me. I was like, oh,
I
a
think they
Christian
made it in
school. They
2004,
went to NCAA tournament.
I believe.
That might be,
Yeah.
that might be it. And so when I decided I was leaving Hope Sound, that school, it's accredited, but not
Right.
nationally, not
Yeah.
100% accredited because it's
Yep.
so small. So I could transfer in state to probably most schools in state, or I could go to another
Mm-hmm.
Christian school. So it was like, oh, Liberty is the biggest one I can
Yeah.
think of. So yeah, I checked it out with my dad driving back from
Mm-hmm.
Hope Sound. I don't remember if we took a campus tour.
Oh,
Not
that's
sure.
right. And
Might
you
have.
glazed over the part
I was a
you
tour. I was a
you were a
tour
tour
guide.
guide. I
That's the
always
funny
forget about
story.
that.
I was the person who should never be a tour guide,
So
and
funny.
somehow
I
I was a
remember when
tour
you came
guide.
home and you were like, I got a job as a tour guide, and I was like, what?
Has the
Yeah,
world
like what
ended?
is?
Did they run out of they run out of people who can
We
say
finally
words.
we finally run out of extroverts. We're digging into the introvert talent pool.
It's so crazy how everything connects too. Because I got that job, became good friends with with our
Yep.
friend Kevin, and then you ended up working for him
Yep,
too.
I
So
did. Different
everything kind of
department, different job.
connects
Yeah,
together.
it's amazing how much stuff blends together.
Yeah,
So anyway, there's so many
right.
stories from Liberty
That's my
we
story.
can we can get to. Oh man,
Yeah. Oh yeah. All the good, all the good and the
we
bad
had so
memories.
much fun. We man, just cooking. We could make an entire podcast about things we cooked. Living in the
Oh man.
Monview house.
One that comes to mind is when we made the Krispy Kreme donut cheeseburgers,
Bison
bacon
burgers.
cheeseburgers,
Right.
bison
So
burger.
yeah,
Yes.
for my birthday, you bought me like a bunch of ground bison, and I was like, dude, I've always wanted to try this, but I never have. So, and instead of just making a bison burger, we decided that we should make a bison burger with Krispy Kreme donuts as the buns. And to date, to date, I don't think I've had a better cheeseburger experience than that day. That is very memorable.
Uh, so greasy
It
though.
was literally dripping. Like it was insane. That yeah, we could really have an entire episode just on weird food that we made. I remember that time.
Yeah. One.
Wait, what were you gonna say?
Go
I was
ahead.
gonna say, remember that
Well,
the dollar store.
dollar
Remember the
store.
dollar store cheese that you bought?
I do remember buying cheese at the dollar store. I remember I was like doing. I was so broke. I was buying food at the dollar
Dude,
store. I do remember
I
that.
remember you were like, I'd be like, what are you doing today? And you were like, I'm gonna go up to the dollar store and get some food. I was like, okay, I'll come with you. And then I think we
Thirsty.
bought we bought dollar store steak, which you didn't realize existed, but it exists. Dollar store steak, which was about as thick as a slice of lunch meat, and then dollar store cheese. It's actually on the package. It says cheddar cheese, and then in
Oh yeah, it doesn't
very
melt,
fine
right?
print, it said like cheese substitute. So we took that home.
Yeah, or like
What did you try to make?
engineered to not melt.
Yes, it said in the back. It said not engineered to melt, and I was like, "There's more."
Whatever I was trying to make was it needed
Yeah,
melted
it was like
cheese.
nachos or something. But I was like, "There's more. There's
Yeah.
more than one problem with that statement. There's several
Oh.
problems with that statement." Oh man.
Uh, I'm interested to know like how many years I shaved off my life.
Oh my gosh. Where do you even get that stuff? Like, that's amazing. Anyway,
Oh,
the dollar store was,
those were the good old days.
dude. I've always been thinking that you, me, Ben, Daniel, Struble, we should all get together. Because so Ben and I thought about buying one of the 2-bedroom townhouses they have on that neighborhood. We always thought because you're never gonna not have renters, and if you wanted to sell, I'm sure that you could probably sell to Liberty and they would buy it at market price. I'm sure.
Oh yeah, you could probably even once they decide they want to build something
Yeah,
there,
because
you can take advantage
right,
of them.
Toys R Us is going out of business, right? So I would not be surprised if Liberty
Yeah.
hasn't already bought that building. Liberty owns the entire shopping center right there, Candler Station.
Yeah.
So they literally own everything in that entire block of land except for those houses, those townhouses. And they might even own some of those already.
So you can actually buy those.
Yeah, you can. Some of
They're
them
not property of the rental company.
No.
Oh, okay.
Someone owns them,
So it's not like you own the house, but somebody might sell the land out from under you or
Kind
something.
of. I mean, so there's an HOA, and that's who pays for all the maintenance and landscaping and stuff. Um, but people like, especially the two-bedroom ones, you can buy and just live in. A lot of them are owned by real estate companies or whatever, and then the brownstone manages them, manages the properties and the renters and all that stuff. Yeah.
Okay.
So we always
Yeah, if I ever have money,
yeah
that's a good
yeah
investment.
we always thought like you're never gonna not have renters. You will always have renters. It's the closest housing to campus. I like by far. um,
Yeah. If you wanted to, you could just jack up the price like crazy, and somebody's gonna do
yeah,
it.
sure. Yeah. I mean, I think that those things are. We just drove past them. I also went to Lynchburg this past weekend, and we drove past them, and they're
Oh yeah.
really falling apart. Like they're not. No one's taking care of them, which is really sad
Huh.
because I think that at this point they don't really want to take care of them. The land itself is more valuable than the actual house on it.
Yeah.
So I don't think that anyone's really investing money into those at this point. They're just waiting for them to be bought out.
Huh.
So yeah, it
Sad.
is sad. I thought, dude,
That was
how,
a significant portion of my
that was
life.
awesome. That house is awesome. We had so many good times there. A four-bedroom townhouse.
Oh yeah.
Oh man,
And four crazy dudes living in
seriously,
it.
imagine. Can you even imagine paying $225 for rent? Amazing.
Well, funny story.
Yeah.
I pay less than that here.
Well, I'm talking about in the first world.
It's a different situation. Well, I'm moving soon, and I'm realizing the rent here is great because the neighborhood is so bad.
Oh yeah, there you go.
I mean, it's not terrible, but it's probably like
Oh nice.
Mafiaville.
Speaking of Mafiaville, are we gonna have an episode where you spend the night doing sausage gambling in Taipei?
That's a good idea. I'm actually going to Taipei first week of April, but I probably can't do it then
You should probably carry a shank
because I'm just taking it.
if you do sausage gambling. That is,
Yeah, it is technically illegal. I think
yeah. Well, no, I think the reason they do sausage
makes it
gambling,
more
yeah,
awesome.
I think they do sausage gambling because it's not illegal. Gambling is illegal, but I think it's only gambling money. If you gamble sausages, it's okay. I think that's the loophole.
I'm not sure. It might be because they play a game called mahjong.
Yeah,
It's like a. It's kind of like I don't know how to describe it. I'm sure a lot of people know
I'm
what it is
familiar with
'cause
mahjong.
there's a lot
At
of
least the name of it.
yeah. But you'll walk down the street at night and you'll just hear like the clacking. Everyone's playing mahjong, and you're allowed to gamble, but just like a really small amount of money, so the police could bust you up if you're doing too much
Oh,
money.
I
So
see.
there's probably a lot of illegal gambling going
I
on.
see. Gotcha.
But maybe it's the same thing with sausage gambling, as long as you don't get too
That's
high
probably true. Yeah.
into money. I'm not sure.
It's awesome. All right. Let's see here. We covered our backgrounds, how we met. That all there are hundreds of stories that go along with that. A lot of good times had in those
Oh
years.
yeah.
So your favorite baseball team is the Yankees. Yeah.
Oh yes, I have to talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
Favorite team is the Yankees, but as you probably remember, started out my life as a Reds fan because my dad is still a hardcore Reds
That's
fan
right. Very important.
because he grew up in the '70s.
Big Red Machine.
Big Red
Yep.
Machine.
Absolutely.
So I was a Reds fan because of him. Barry Larkin was my favorite player.
Yep.
It was in the
Yep.
'90s,
I grew up in the Barry Larkin era.
and I still remember the moment that I decided to switch. We didn't have TV, so we would always listen on the radio, and then especially driving around,
I remember this
if
moment
there's a
too.
game on, my dad would have it on the
Yeah,
radio.
Satan showed up at your doorstep and
Yeah.
offered you a Yankees hat in exchange for your soul, and you said
Well,
sure.
If Satan is my mother, hmm. Well, anyways, what I mean by that is, we were we were in a Burger King parking lot. Right, my dad had gone in to get the food. He left the radio
Yep.
on, and it was playing a Mets game.
Uh huh.
It might have been no, it was playing a Yankees game, and because he would listen to any baseball
Right.
game, any sporting event he could find.
Yep.
Um, and my mom's like, well, "Why don't you guys just become Yankees fans? You can listen to every single game." And I was like, "Oh, this makes sense."
Sweet.
So from that day forward, my brothers and I were Yankees fans.
Wow.
My favorite player was Jeter, I guess, because
Yep.
of Larkin was a shortstop.
Yep.
Jeter's a shortstop.
It's a good one to have.
And oh man, I mean, I can like towards the end, I could see how Jeter was very overrated,
Mm-hmm.
but at the same time, I remember very early in his career, I was obsessed with just following his stats. Like, oh, he's gonna get to 3,000 hits someday. I know he can do
He'll
it.
be there.
How fast can he do it?
Yep.
And like I was obsessed with that for so long. Like if I would listen to the games, and if he did not get at least 2 hits, or if he even got 0 hits, I'd be a little bit depressed.
Mhm.
It was pretty sad.
Mm-hmm.
That's how much I didn't have a life.
I remember that.
But the funny thing is, I ended up at his 3,000 hit game. He hit the home run like a section away from me.
Right. I remember you saying that.
And it was just by random chance.
That's awesome.
Didn't try to plan it, and I was like, wow.
Yep.
God cares about the details. He got me to Derek Jeter's 3,000 hit
He
game.
got you there.
It's crazy.
That's awesome, yeah. I remember you were worried that he was going
Yeah.
to do it the game before you were going, and he had an off game, and then you were there and he hit it. That's awesome.
I was worried he wasn't going to do it because he was having such a bad year.
Yeah.
I was worried even when we went there. He needed what,
Yeah.
two hits,
Huh.
and he was having such a bad year. I was like, we'll be lucky if he goes 1 for 5.
Right. Can you imagine?
And he got the first hit. It was a ground ball,
Mm-hmm.
seeing eye single
Mm-hmm.
through the shortstop hole, I think.
Yeah.
And then he hits the home run, and then he just got, what did he get, 5 hits that day? It was
Jeez.
insane.
Yeah.
He just, like, you could see how, like, the pressure of the weight was lifted,
Yep.
and he just couldn't be stopped at that point. It was crazy.
That's amazing.
And the whole stadium is just standing up screaming every time he comes up to bat. But yeah, love the Yankees. In Taiwan, it's actually kind of, I miss having a Yankee game or having a game at night,
Mm-hmm.
because here I wake up in the morning. The games are usually on at like 7 a.m.
Yeah.
Most of the games, so I'm watching while I eat breakfast.
No, that's pretty cool.
So it's an interesting dynamic. I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, Yankees, other sports, I kind of just follow players. I like rookies, and
Mm-hmm.
I root for. Nobody take this the wrong way, but I root for white guys in the NBA because they're the underdog.
That's true.
I always like the underdog. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So right now I really like TJ McConnell because I don't know, I like watching him play on the 76ers.
Yeah.
Because no one really talks about him, but he's like every time you see him, he's making a nice pass, getting off a nice little shot. But yeah,
That's
and football, same follow play.
so. What? Oh, you saying we follow players?
Yeah, just mainly follow players. If I think an interesting rookie's coming in,
Mhm.
rooting for that person.
Mm-hmm. I will say that I
Oh, yeah.
don't follow the NBA as much. Growing up in Cincinnati, didn't really have a team, and the Pacers are like 2 hours away, and the Cavs are 4.5 hours away northeast in Cleveland, which if you live in Cincinnati, Cleveland is basically Cleveland might as well be Toronto. No one really cares about it, or Detroit. So
What's the Bill Burr joke about like Cleveland is such a flyover state, even ISIS would fly over and be like, let's not bomb this one. I can't give a Bill Burr joke like him.
yeah, no, I'll have to.
He had a pretty funny joke.
That's hilarious. Cleveland is, I don't know. I've only been once, and I was like 17, 18, and I was like, yeah, you know what? I don't really see a reason to come back here.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I've never been there.
Yeah, there's not much there. I mean, it's cold most of the time. The people are they're okay. I mean, they're not as like dirty as Detroit people. They're not as mean as like New York people or Boston people.
Yeah.
But it's just something. It's like
It is what it is.
yeah. But
Got
Cleveland,
that racist baseball team.
yeah, they've been having. I mean, Indians have been doing well.
I say that in sarcasm.
Right, of course. They're now Chief Wahoo's gone now, apparently, and also Cooperstown
Are you sure?
is
Yeah, Jim Tomey's going in first one
Coop.
without it.
Yep, Cooperstown is removing all Chief Wahoo emblems. It's insane.
Huh. It is pretty crazy.
Whatever, crazy.
I mean, I could see if like Native Americans were actually pissed about it, but I don't think they really are. I
Yeah,
don't think they care.
I
I
mean,
think it's really
yeah,
just the media blowing it out of proportion.
yeah. They had. I mean, back when they were talking about the Redskins, there were so many polls that came out, but the majority of them they polled Native Americans, and like they don't give a crap. They really don't care at all.
Yeah. The only one who cares is Elizabeth Warren, who's not even a real
Exactly. Yeah.
Indian.
She's grandstanding. That's all she's doing. She's trying to find any kind of thread she can grab onto to maintain relevance because people realize that she's done nothing in her life except lie. But anyway,
Yeah. Take away a job from a real Native American.
yep. I think it's funny. They asked her if she would take a blood test, a DNA test, to support her dozens of claims that she's got Native American heritage, but she refused. And in the same sentence, she said, "Oh, I'm not running for president either." Oh man,
Yeah.
it's amazing. Have you ever heard that story about how the grounds for her believing she has Native American ancestry?
Uh, is it because all I know is she said she has high cheekbones or something? I don't know. I don't know what that's all
She's got a
about.
couple really crazy. Like she has no physical evidence. Well, she has no real physical evidence of her ancestry. When it first came out, she was trying to secure a job at Harvard Law School, based on her being Native American in heritage. Right. The evidence she
Mm-hmm.
gave for this was a cookbook that she said her mother had passed down to her, and the cookbook contained a recipe that I can't remember the name of the recipe. It was something like Cherokee chicken chowder or something like that, and that like literally, that wasn't it, but it was something like that. And I'll look it up real quick. And that was her basis of evidence for
all that all that proves is that her great grandmother was probably a racist.
yeah.
Got this Cherokee chicken chowder here.
Yep. Okay, it's called Pow Wow Chow. That's literally it.
Well, that's even worse. Pow
Yes.
wow chow. I feel like that's
That,
making fun of multiple races.
there's absolutely no possible way that is. Yeah. Anyway, some kind of heirloom recipe, Pow Wow Chow, and that got her a job at Harvard Law School. At least,
Grandma was on the Quaaludes while she was cooking.
exactly. Yeah. But anyway, so glad she's finally fading into the background a little bit. Thank God, because she's just despicable.
Yeah. Well, it would almost be nice if, I don't know, if Trump is going to win re-election, which, ugh, I wish there would
Tenuous,
be someone else.
tenuous at best at this point.
But if they put someone decent up there, they'll have a pretty good chance of beating him.
Yeah.
I think if they put Biden up there, Biden probably will win.
Biden right now in polls, Biden is absolutely demolishing Trump. He's like 12 points up in any poll.
Yeah.
Yeah. Trump is oh my goodness. On Friday at lunch, I was watching the Facebook live stream of him giving his comments on the omnibus package, the $1.3 trillion spending package.
Uh-huh.
It was basically him the entire time saying that he's forced to sign it because the military funding was in there. Despite the
Uh-huh.
fact that there was no DACA funding, no resolution for DACA, which I don't give a crap about. Um, there was no wall funding. The $1.3 billion or $1.6 billion that he keeps touting as wall funding is actually just for existing fence maintenance, existing like border fence maintenance. So I don't know what he keeps talking about how it's a wall, and no, it's not. Uh, so every single comment, and there were thousands during this live stream, was veto this bill, veto this bill. Don't even think about it. Veto it. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's really sad. He could have won a lot of points by vetoing it, but instead he has not. I don't think he's vetoed a single thing since he's been in office, which is crazy. He's gotten a lot of
Well,
turd packages.
yeah. I guess I mean everything's coming to him from a Republican controlled house, so it would look bad if he vetoed it. I guess.
Yeah, but he's not getting anything that he
It's
wants.
just a yeah. It's a bad. The system is so stupid right now. I mean, I know Rand Paul was and everyone was complaining about they had 17 hours to read the bill, which was 2,000 pages,
Yep,
and it's just stupid. Like
it's yeah. There's so much.
it's so dumb. I don't know how to say how dumb it is.
They're forcing it. What they're doing is they're holding programs hostage, right? They're saying that
Mm-hmm.
it's forced compromise, right? If you want welfare, increased entitlements, then you have to vote for Republican stuff. If you want if you want reform for entitlements, too bad. Because anything else you want to keep the government running, you have to fund Planned Parenthood. You have to fund foreign aid, billions of dollars going to
Uh-huh.
foreign countries, a lot of which hate us. And
Yeah,
a lot of
exactly.
those countries are dictatorships in Africa, where as soon as that money hits their shores, it's being taken by the dictator, and almost nothing is getting to the people. We're spending billions of
Yeah,
dollars on that every year,
you just
with
we just bought
nothing in
that
shore.
Bugatti.
Yep,
It's crazy.
yep. So I think it was a bad package. I think that he should have vetoed it, and made them come up with something else. Because right now, Republicans aren't getting anything that they want. Well, I take that back. Republicans, rhinos, are actually getting what they want because they actually want more pork. They actually want more spending on pet projects and stuff that's going to buy them votes in November.
Mm-hmm.
So they're in that way they're
Yeah,
getting exactly what they want. But as far as what they say on the superficial level, they're not getting what they want. So it's an obvious loss for them. Um, but I don't know. We'll see. Trump talked about Trump talked about on Friday how he thinks the president should have a line item veto, which the last time that happened was Jefferson Davis in the Civil War, as the president of the Confederacy. The Confederate Constitution actually gave him a line item veto, so that
really.
Congress could pass things, and he could pick and choose the parts of that bill that he wanted and the parts he didn't want. So
Well, that's a lot
essentially,
of power.
yes, exactly. Essentially, bypassing the entire point of the legislature, it negates any kind of compromise, right?
Well,
So, yeah,
he's better than Hillary, but he needs to stop talking.
exactly. He's better than Hillary, but yeah, if only he
It's not
stopped
saying
talking.
much.
Yeah, because that's the thing. Ben Shapiro makes this observation all the time: is that Trump actually, so far, he's been pretty conservative, and actually more conservative than Bush, as far as what he does, right? but what he says is just absolute insanity. He says he
Yeah.
talks out of both sides of his mouth all the time. Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't understand how someone, obviously an intelligent person,
Hmm.
doesn't understand that you can't contradict yourself in this day and
Hmm.
age. Everything
Oh
is
yeah,
recorded, and you're the president
everything.
every single time.
This is that was the great phenomenon of the John Kerry, George W. Bush, his second term. Um, that was second term. Um, that was the with the word flip flop was coined, I believe, because so many recordings of John Kerry saying one thing and then 6 months later him saying the exact opposite. That he people were taking flip flops to George Bush rallies and holding them up like battle war banners, battle standards. It was funny. Um, so yeah, you're exactly right. In this day and age, you have to be consistent, as consistent as possible.
Yeah. I mean, you should do that anyway on principle, but
Exactly.
what you gonna do?
Yep. So anyway, let's. What else do we have we can talk about before we wrap this episode up?
I guess we should talk about what our agenda is going to be, or
Yep.
how we're going to try to set things up going forward.
Sure.
We're going to have a few segments in the
Mm-hmm.
hopes that someday we'll get sponsors for those segments. Um,
Exactly.
I think what we've talked about so far, we're going to have like this week I'm pissed at segment. So kind of talk
Yep.
about things, whatever made us the most angry during the week.
No shortage of content for
And
that.
then, yeah. And then, do you want to talk about the other ones? Or?
Yeah, sure. So we're gonna have. Well, this is actually kind of your segment, the Bible and beer segment. I guess we can both talk about it, but so far you've been the biggest champion for it. Talking
Yeah, I'm
about
excited about that one.
biblical principles, as well as enjoying alcoholic libations, brewed
Yeah,
preferably.
actually, I guess what makes me like that so much is actually a story. When I was a kid, I grew up in a really strict denomination, which I'm not, I'm not putting them down or anything. It was just a little strict. And I remember one time a pastor was giving a sermon, and he was talking about somebody who converted, and I think his overall point was just give people time. It's a good point. Give people time. Don't like push them to to follow like church rules and things like that. Just let them develop a relationship with God
Mm-hmm.
and let God reveal to them how they need to live. And so he was talking about this guy, and he said this guy, he became a Christian, and he would start reading his Bible every day, and he would have a beer while he read his Bible. And then he said eventually he decided it was wrong to drink beer, and so he stopped drinking beer. And so that was his illustration to say like no one came and said, hey, you should stop drinking beer while you read the Bible.
Hmm.
So he was just coming from the assumption that drinking beer is wrong, and then God revealed to this guy that drinking beer was wrong. Which sure, maybe it was wrong for him. I don't know, but I just don't like how he made that just make that assumption when the Bible clearly states it's not wrong. And we'll probably get into that next time. I wrote an article for our blog uh, about beer, specifically in the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
But so yeah, I want to have a beer and talk about the Bible.
Sure. I think that one of the very few relativistic parts of the Bible is I believe it's Paul writing to Timothy. Maybe he talks about the stronger brother, weaker brother, and I might be wrong, and that might actually be
That might be
James.
Romans.
Romans. Yeah, there you go. The stronger brother, weaker brother, meaning things that aren't necessarily sin might be sin for some people, right? Like if you
Mm-hmm.
if God doesn't explicitly tell you it's a sin or tell you not to do it, um, but you in your mind you feel guilty about doing it, then maybe it's not right for you to do it. Um,
Yeah.
but if it's something that God doesn't explicitly condemn, and you don't feel guilty about doing it, and you can do it in moderation, then maybe it's not a sin for you. Meaning that you would be the stronger brother in that regard, and the other person would be the weaker brother. And there's no there's no moral value attached to the words weaker and stronger at all. Just the term he decided to use.
Yeah, it's a good
Um,
point. I never actually thought of it that way. I think
yeah,
most people do think of it as the stronger one must be just more advanced. But
right,
you're right,
right.
it's not that way at all.
Yeah, no, and I'm not an expert on Koine Greek or anything, but uh, a lot of times words they used for stronger and weaker have multiple derivatives that maybe at the time of translation into English they decided to use words weaker and stronger, but it might mean something completely different that's not attached to what we consider a like a value spectrum.
Yeah.
So we'll get into that later. I'm sure it's going to come up. It always comes up. The great
Oh
debate
yeah.
coming from a school like Liberty, where no drinking is allowed. It's something that it was always a topic of
And
conversation in class.
yeah. I'm sure yeah, we'll get into it more and
Hmm.
I probably should have mentioned back when I was giving my introduction. I am a pastor's kid, so
That's right. Yeah,
that's probably another reason I'm fired up about it. But
always pastors' kids are always they always have really unique convictions about things. That's what I'll say.
yeah, it's an interesting experience, and
Hmm.
a lot of pastors' kids tend to rebel hard.
Yeah, yeah. I was gonna say that too. I
Just
didn't want to. Anyway,
I had my
so that's
moments. Anyways,
those are one of our those are a couple of our segments. I think we're gonna have a lot more. Something that we've recorded this pilot episode probably 5 times now, and we've decided that, at least I've decided in my own mind, that I don't want to get super political. The first couple times I was leaning heavy into the political side of things, but I find that, and I wrote a post about this. There's things that I like, and there's things I know, and I don't want to just talk about stuff that I know, because the majority of podcast and reading that I do is probably politically oriented. Um, but I found that I actually enjoy talking about sports and life stuff more. So I want to
yeah,
lean into that more, lean into what I enjoy, and then what I know, I'll use that knowledge that I have, and I'm sure I'll continue reading up on politics. A significant majority of my time. When it comes to those points, then I can offer some knowledge there. But I really like to talk about other stuff. I think it's more important for our day to day lives as Americans and citizens in the world to talk about the lifestyle stuff that we do, the stuff that we look forward to on a daily basis, on a weekly basis. Um, and I think that'd be
yeah.
more
I
enjoyable
agree
for,
100%.
yeah, cool. So that's look forward to. We'll have segments about sports, about stuff that happens in our life, interesting things that happen. We've got lots of stories, and we'll get to those coming up soon. For those of you who are joining us, we're really glad you're here. We'd love to have you check out our blog and like us on social media. Our blog is wakeupbrosefstalin.wordpress.com. Is that right, Aaron?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's correct.
Check us out there. And also on Facebook at Wake Up Brosef Stalin, and on Twitter at Woke Bro Stalin. WOKE
Um,
BROSTALIN.
oh, and I actually added a social media platform.
Oh,
I
awesome.
forgot about that until right now. We're on
On our
Gab.ai because
nice.
that is the free speech alternative to Twitter.
Oh,
Uh,
awesome.
I might have to tell our name. I think we're probably just wake up Brosef Stalin if you search that.
Okay.
But I'll
I've
verify
never
that
actually
next
been
time.
there. Mhm.
It's not
Are you sure it's
maybe not.
gab.ai?
Yeah, Gab.ai. Mm-hmm. And then you have Pepe
Mine,
the Frog on there.
it gives me an error when I come up to it.
Really? Gab.ai.
That's weird. I don't know. It did before, now it doesn't.
Huh. Yeah, it
Oh
should come
well.
up. You've got the frog up there in the corner.
So check it out. Yeah, I see it. Awesome. So, anything else in closing?
Not from me. I'm excited to do this every week, though. It's
Yeah,
like the
I
highlight
think
of
once
my
we get
week.
into let's get into like a normal flow and really get into it, lean into it a little bit.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks, guys. Hit us up on social media. Let us know the kind of stuff you want to hear from us, what you want more of, what you want less of, and we'll always take that stuff into consideration. So, for Ryan in Cincinnati and Aaron in Taiwan, what's your city again?
I'm in Kaohsiung.
Kaohsiung.
That's right. Southern
All right,
Taiwan. Represent.
Southern Taiwan. Guys, this is Wake Up Brosef Stalin. We're so glad you joined us. See you next time.
Later.